everyone. Very good morning or very good evening. So I feel honored to chair the last keynote speaker session, which is Joanna Radwanska-Williams. Before I start chairing this session, one word about myself. I'm Professor Xiaoshu Zhu. I represent University of International Business and Economics in Beijing, China, and also FAAP in this case, because I'm the Chinese director of the Confucius Institute here in FAAP. Okay. Now let me introduce Joanna, a friend, a longtime friend, and also a partner for many, many years. Okay, Joanna was born in Warsaw, Poland, and schooled in Poland, the UK, and the US. She holds the BA in English Literature and in Linguistics, that is a double major, and her PhD in Linguistics from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. She taught Slavic linguistics at Stony Brook University, Polish language at the University of Illinois at Chicago, TESOL teacher training at Nanjing University, China, and English applied linguistics at the Chinese University of Hong Kong. In 2003, she joined the Macao Polytechnic University as a professor of English, first in the Faculty of Business, then in the Faculty of Language and Translation at MPU Bell Center of English. Joanna's interests include cultural studies, creative writing, intercultural communication, history of linguistics, phonology, poetics, semiotics, and social linguistics. Her publications include book chapter. The representative one is the Kazan School, Yan Bondewa, the Curtinet, and Mikołaj Gruszewski, if I pronounce it correctly. If not, I'm sorry. And also the Oxford History of Phonology, and the poem Confucius Temple in Chifu. Mingled Voices 6, Proverse, a Poetry Prize Anthology. If you check that, you can find her prize items on the internet. She was awarded the first prize in the 2021 International Proverse Poetry Prime Competition. Joanna has been a member of the International Association for Intercultural Communication Studies since 1991. She has served as editor of Intercultural Communication Studies since June 2010. She has also served as president of IAICS from 2021 to 2023. So now I would like to give the floor to Joanna, and let's give her a warm welcome. Thank you, Joanna. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Xiaoshu, for your very kind introduction. And before I start, I would like to thank the organizers, FAAP, Lourdes Zilberberg and Sophie Zhu, and Sylvia and Edson and all your team for a very wonderful conference, very smoothly and professionally run. And we are so proud that this is the first IAICS, International Association for Intercultural Communication conference in South America. And it is our 30th anniversary conference. So this is the 30th 30 time that we have organized an international conference. And it has moved around to different countries so that we can be exposed to different cultures in the true spirit of intercultural communication. And thank you for teaching us to eat Brazilian food and to dance the Brazilian way, and for giving us the true friendship and vibe of beautiful São Paulo. And also, before I start, Professor Du mentioned that I'm the editor of ICS, the journal Intercultural Communication Studies, which is now online, published by Skylight Press. You can easily Google it, or if you are here on site, you can pick up this flyer, which is on the table outside, and it has a QR code for you to submit your paper as an article to the journal. This journal has been in existence since 1991, so for 24 years. The association actually started its conferences earlier than the journal was established. So without further ado, the title of my presentation is City of Remembrance, a linguistic landscape study of the commemorative plaques and inscriptions of South-Central Warsaw. That may be an enigmatic title, but very shortly I will explain what I mean. And I will be talking about my original hometown, Warsaw, the capital of Poland, where I was born. The study of linguistic landscape, as first defined by Landry and Borges, examines short texts that are accessible in public space, usually as signs posted in the streets or on buildings. These texts are an integral part of the cityscape in our everyday urban life. Of course, signs can also be posted outside of city limits, for example, in the countryside, on or along highways, or in national parks. However, in this study, I focus on the city, and specifically on South-Central Warsaw in Poland, which is the neighborhood where I grew up in my childhood, my original hometown. The study of linguistic landscape can also offer insight into many aspects of culture and society. For example, economics, tourism, social history, and social change. I call my theoretical approach reading the city, as if the city is an open book with all kinds of little pages and pictures available to the reader who looks at the signs closely instead of just passing them by. And in this study, I focus on the historical dimension, on Warsaw as a city of remembrance. Here are a couple of examples of the historical dimension of street signs, which are quite unusual. I doubt that you will find this kind of historical explanation in every city in the world, not even in every city in Poland. So first on this screen, you see a street sign with the name of the street, the kind of sign you would expect to find in every city. Different cities use different colors for street signs. The ones in South-Central Warsaw are clearly and attractively marked in bright colors. But I also found, on the right-hand side on the screen, this unobtrusive glass panel posted by the local government of the city of Warsaw to inform people about the history of the naming of the street. The panel is in Polish. In English translation, it reads, "This is an old road leading from the Mokotów Thruway to the Belvedere Palace. Around the year 1780, the painter Bocciarelli built a garden pavilion here, and he called the property Bagatella. The same name was given to the street in the year 1870. Here is another example, Marszałkowska Street, which in English can be translated as Marshall Street. It is one of the main streets of Warsaw. So on the left, you can see the street signs. In this case, it's on the corner. So it's the corner of Marszałkowska and Litewska, which is very close to my apartment in Warsaw. The history of the name of the street is explained as follows on a glass panel, again in English translation. At the beginning of the 18th century, this was a road leading from Królewska Street, which means Royal Street, to the village of Mokotów. From the year 1757, it was the main street of the jurisdiction of Bielino, which was founded by Franciszek Bieliński, who was the royal grand marshal. The street was named Marshall Street in the year 1770. I find it interesting that the signs explaining the history of the street are posted in Polish without an English translation. If they were in English, they would be quite informative for foreign tourists. But because they're in Polish, they are probably inaccessible to the international tourist audience, at least before Google Translator. Therefore, they are intended primarily for domestic tourists and for local citizens to make them aware of the historical heritage of the city. They are a kind of public education. There are instances when, in addition to the local authorities, a foreign entity was jointly involved in the creation of a sign, and in this case, a foreign language, in addition to Polish, is also present on the sign, but it's not necessarily the English language. This glass panel, posted by the city authorities in collaboration with the Embassy of Slovenia, commemorates a Slovenian diplomat who distinguished himself by his actions during the Second World War. He is counted among the righteous among the nations, an honor bestowed by the State of Israel. The text of the panel is bilingual in Polish and Slovenian, and the Polish text reads, in English translation, "In this building lived Franz Punčuch, who was born in 1902 and died in 1944. He was a Slovenian diplomat who saved many Jews. He perished during the Warsaw Uprising of 1944. He is counted among the just among nations." Here is another example, which is an inscription engraved on a bronze plaque in the Royal Baths Park, Łazienki Park, which I'll tell you about in a second, the park. It informs the reader about the restoration of the historic pedestrian avenue and Chinese pavilion built by King Stanisław August in the 18th century. The text of the inscription is in Polish and Chinese. And the English translation of the Polish is, "The Chinese avenue was created at the initiative of King Stanisław August in the year 1780 in the place of the former Wilanów Road. It was an expression of the fascination with Chinese civilization and art during the time of the Enlightenment. Thanks to the work of the Museum of the Royal Baths Park, the Embassy of the People's Republic of China, as well as the Sinopol Foundation, the project of the revitalization of the Chinese Avenue gained sponsorship and funding." This brings me to a discussion of some emergent thematic categories that I would like to highlight. Emergent thematic categories is a qualitative research term for things you find in the data to make sense of them. The first category is the relationship between the past and the present. I shall discuss a couple of examples. The first example, which you see on the screen here, is the monumental statue of King Jan III Sobieski, who is remembered as one of the best Polish kings. His great military and political achievement was the defeat of the Turkish army at the Battle of Vienna in 1683. This battle is credited with saving much of Eastern and Central Europe from being dominated by the Ottoman Empire. The statue depicts the king as triumphant, fully clothed in armor, sitting on a horse that is rearing up and trampling an Oriental-looking man with a ponytail who is naked and trembling in fear. The text of the inscription on separate stones on both sides of the statue is in Polish and Latin. The Polish text of the inscription reads, it's short, so I'll read in Polish and then the translation. Janowi III, królowi Polski, wielkiemu księciu Litwy, ojczyzny i sojuszników obrońcy, któregośmy postradali w roku 1696, król Stanisław August, rok 1788. So, to Jan III, King of Poland and Grand Duke of Lithuania, the defender of our homeland and our allies, whom we lost in the year 1696, King Stanisław August, year 1788. So the King Stanisław August built this statue, or commissioned this statue, to commemorate another king that lived a century earlier. Of course, from the perspective of the present, the negative attitude towards Turkey expressed in this monumental statue and the inscription is completely outdated. Nowadays, Turkey is a member of NATO and has applied for membership in the European Union. It is an ally of Poland, not an enemy. Polish people love to travel to Turkey. Turkish food, especially desserts like halva, is also popular in Poland. As an example, here is a Turkish shop selling Turkish sweets and souvenirs on the street named Nowy Świat, New World Street, in North-Central Warsaw. When I went inside, the shop assistant, who had just been chatting on the phone in Turkish, politely assisted me in fluent Polish. A second example of the relationship between the past and the present has to do with the origin of the Royal Baths Park, Łazienki Królewskie, a beautiful public park which local citizens and tourists alike enjoy every day. The Royal Baths Park was originally created in the late 17th century for the enjoyment of the king and the aristocracy, and includes several small palaces on its territory. The central palace on the Isle, Pałac na Wyspie, was originally built as a building for baths, bathing, for the Polish aristocracy, styled after ancient Roman baths, hence the name of the park. This is the palace on the Isle, And here is the facade of the palace on the Isle with an engraved inscription in Latin, no Polish, just Latin. Outside the palace on the Isle, as part of a historical exhibition, there is a freestanding temporary placard explaining its history in both Polish and English, and hence intended both for domestic and foreign tourists. The English text of the historical explanation of the architecture of the facade of the palace reads, Prince Stanisław Herakliusz Lubomirski's bathhouse, whose walls were built before 1683, was designed by Tilman van Gameren. Not much of the original adornment of the southern facade has survived after the rebuilding works commissioned by King Stanisław August. Dating back to Lubomirski's era, above the entrance are the sphinxes and the cartouche with a Latin inscription. The historical explanation includes a reproduction of a sketch of the original facade of the palace from the year 1698. The detailed informational placard intended for tourists contains a translation of the Latin inscription. So in Latin, haec domus odit tristitias, amat pacem, fundit balnea, commendant rura, et optat probas, which translates as, this house hates sadness, loves peace, offers a bath, recommends an idyllic life, and desires to host kind-hearted people. So that's the original from the late 17th century. With the historical explanation of the significance of the building facade, the past is brought into the present and comes back to life. All kinds of people, including local citizens, domestic tourists, and foreign tourists, can appreciate the history of the park and the city. The city's green spaces and buildings acquire meaningful significance and provide a kind of personalization and rich layering to the everyday experience of taking a walk in the park. Now I would like to discuss my second emergent thematic category, which has to do with the intercultural communication dimensions of high context versus low context, as first defined by Edward Hall in his book, The Silent Language, which was one of the foundational books of intercultural communication studies. High context communication relies on information that is embedded in the social context and does not explicitly communicate more than what is deemed necessary. An outsider who enters into a high context communicative situation may be quite at a loss to understand the meaning or find the information. In contrast, low context communication does not expect much background knowledge on the part of the audience and explains information and meanings explicitly. Here is an example of high context communication in an inscription on a statue of Prince Józef Poniatowski in the Royal Baths Park. The inscription reads, in Polish, Bóg mi powierzył honor Polaków, Bogu go tylko oddam. Józef Książę Poniatowski. Which translates, God entrusted me with the honor of Poles. To God only will I give it up. And the signature, not engraved in capital letters, but just his actual signature, Prince Józef Poniatowski. So Prince Józef Poniatowski, who lived from 1763 to 1813, was the nephew of King Stanisław August, who was the last king of independent Poland before it was partitioned at the end of the 18th century by the imperial powers of Russia, Prussia, and Austria. Prince Józef Poniatowski was a military commander who at the end of the 18th century fought for the cause of Polish independence. He refused to be commissioned into the Russian army when Poland lost independence and the Russian Tsar Alexander I became the King of Poland. During the Napoleonic Wars, Poniatowski fought in the French army in its invasion of Russia, was given the title of Marshal, and was mortally wounded in the Battle of Leipzig during Napoleon's retreat in 1813. He's regarded as one of Poland's national heroes and is buried in the Royal Cathedral in Krakow. One of the bridges over the river Vistula in Warsaw is named after him. Therefore, this cryptic quotation and signature on the statue would be readily understood by Polish citizens, but mostly inaccessible to foreigners. Here is another example of high context communication, which is extreme in its lack of explicit information. This is a statue of Ignacy Jan Paderewski, who lived from 1860 to 1941, the famous Polish pianist and composer who became the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Prime Minister when Poland regained its independence at the end of the First World War. He signed the Treaty of Versailles in 1919 on behalf of Poland. After the Nazi invasion of Poland in 1939, he lived in exile in New York until his death in 1941. As he was a musical genius, he was kind of the 20th century equivalent to Chopin, who's more famous, who was a 19th century pianist and composer. He was a man of considerable influence and financial means, and he used this capacity and authority as a Polish statesman to advance the country. In the period between the First and Second World Wars, his face was so recognizable to Polish people that this statue is not inscribed with any name. So by contrast, here is an example of a statue with an inscription showing low context communication. This statue stands on Aleje Ujazdowskie Avenue, which means something like Horse Riding Avenue, the main street outside the park. The inscription on the big stone slab reads, Wojciech Korfanty, 1873-1939, polityk chrześcijański, demokrata, syn ziemi śląskiej. So Wojciech Korfanty, the dates when he lived, Christian politician, Democrat, son of the Silesian region. As the region of Śląsk, Silesia, is in southwestern Poland, this politician would not be well known by the citizens of Warsaw, which is in central Poland. The big stone slab draws attention to the information about his identity. As a politician in the German parliament, Wojciech Korfanty, who lived from 1873 to 1939, so before the First World War, part of Poland was part of Germany, advocated that Upper Silesia which had become a part of Germany, be reunited with Poland after the First World War. After the war, he continued his political career as a member of the Polish parliament, where he in turn defended the rights of minority Germans in the newly independent Polish state, and was eventually imprisoned for his opposition to the ruling party. He died 2 weeks before the outbreak of the Second World War. The statue of Wojciech Korfanty is an example of low-context communication because it needs to explain itself to its audience, and hence the oversized stone slab with clear information about the man whom the statue is honoring. The monument was erected only recently, in 2019, by decision of the City Council of Warsaw, in order to re-establish the citizens' historical awareness of this politician's role in the independence of Poland. The third and final emergent thematic category which I found is remembrance of the Second World War. After the German invasion of Poland in September 1939, Warsaw, the capital of the country, was heavily affected throughout the war. And my father was a child at that time. He lived through the Second World War in Warsaw. Towards the end of the war, most of the city was destroyed during the disastrous Warsaw Uprising of August 1944, when the citizens of Warsaw attempted to liberate the city from Nazi rule by themselves without the help of the Soviet army. Nowadays, throughout the city, almost on every street, there are monuments memorializing the people who died at that very location, such as this one on the corner of Bagatela Street and Ujazdowskie Avenue. The text on the stone monument reads, in English translation, "This place has been consecrated by the blood of Poles who died for the freedom of their homeland. Here on the 2nd and 3rd of August 1944, in the area of this garden, Nazis executed several hundred people." As another example, in the entranceway to the headquarters of the Polish Ministry of Foreign Affairs, I found this huge commemorative tablet listing the names of all of the Polish border guards who died during the Second World War. The text of the tablet reads, in English translation, "To the memory of the staff of the Polish border guards who gave their life for the homeland in the years 1939 to 1945. The tablet lists the names of 69 border guards. Posted on the buildings on Bagatela Street, we find this commemorative stone tablet honoring the brilliant Polish poet Krzysztof Kamil Baczyński, who died during the war at age 23. The text of the tablet reads, in English translation, "In this house on the 22nd of January 1921 was born Krzysztof Kamil Baczyński, poet, soldier of the Home Army. He perished in the Warsaw Uprising on the 4th of August 1944. I found another dramatic example of the commemoration of the Second World War inside a building belonging to the Museum of the Earth, Muzeum Ziemi, which is a geological museum of the Polish Academy of Sciences, which is located adjoining a different park in the same neighborhood of South-Central Warsaw. This stone plaque marks the place where an anonymous fallen soldier shed his blood in the Warsaw Uprising. You can see on the left side of the screen the mark on the floor. It is now 81 years later, and the blood he shed on the marble floor was never cleaned, but on the contrary, it was preserved to honor his memory forever in future generations. The text of the stone plaque reads in Polish: Utrwalone w marmurze ślady krwi przelanej przez nieznanego powstańca Warszawy w 1944 roku. In translation, preserved in marble the traces of blood spilled by an unknown soldier of the Warsaw Uprising in the year 1944. The oldest descriptions I have discussed in this presentation were permanently engraved in the 17th and 18th centuries, while the most recent are either permanently affixed or temporarily placed plaques, plates, and placards providing detailed historical information. Taken together, they give a composite picture of a city that cares deeply about its history. On one of my walks in the Royal Baths Park this summer, I overheard a father telling his son in Polish, in English translation, "Look how old these trees are. They were planted in the 17th century." To which the young boy, who looked about 10 years old, replied enthusiastically, "Yes, and the palaces are so beautiful." When I was a child, I used to walk in the park with my grandfather, and he used to tell me about Prince Józef Poniatowski. Remember, the nephew of King Stanisław August, whom many people at the end of the 18th century had hoped to be the next king, instead of the Russian Tsar Alexander I, who became the titular king of Poland in 1815, after Poland had de facto lost its independence. During my childhood, there was another bigger statue of Prince Józef Poniatowski in the park, depicting the prince on horseback, and I used to think of the man on the horse as my beloved prince. I was like 4 or 5 years old. The bigger statue was later moved to a different location in front of the palace of the President of Poland as one of the symbols of Polish statehood. So there it is right now. This photo was taken a couple of weeks ago in front of the presidential palace. So that was my beloved prince that stood in the park when I was a child. A bigger statue than the little one that I showed you. The history of Poland has been marked by many wars because the territory of Poland, in the words of the Oxford historian Norman Davies, has been the site of God's playground in the heart of Europe. As we have seen in this presentation, the many memories of history are kept alive by Polish citizens with the help of many small historical texts posted in public space. To paraphrase the words of the first 2 lines of the Polish national anthem, Jeszcze Polska nie zginęła, kiedy my żyjemy, Poland has not yet perished as long as we, the Polish people, are alive. Today, more than half of the world's population live in cities, according to the United Nations. However, the study of linguistic landscape does not need to be limited to cities and urban agglomerations. It can also be done in rural areas or in specific spaces such as shopping malls and grocery stores, or even in the virtual space of the internet. As we interact with the texts, pictures, and spaces of linguistic landscape, we connect the dots, and it becomes meaningful to us. In studying linguistic landscape, we perform a kind of discourse analysis and semiotic analysis of situated text, or as the researchers Skolon and Skolon put it, geosemiotics. The texts and visual elements of linguistic landscape are situated in the context of streets, buildings, parks, and all the spaces of everyday life around us. The two-dimensional texts become three-dimensional in their specific spatial setting. If we then add the dimension of history, as I have examined in this presentation, they become four-dimensional. In addition, there is also the fifth dimension of personal identity. We internalize the world around us and make it our own. In this way, bit by bit, the city becomes a part of our identity. And then we can proudly celebrate our historical heritage and share it with others. This is what the city of Warsaw does as a city of remembrance.
Thank you very much for a wonderful a keynote speech. Wonderful, really. Let me take the privilege of the chairperson for this session. Let's give her a warm applause again. Thank you very much for taking us through Warsaw, not only for sightseeing, but also for the insights of history, linguistics, and everything in combination. Thank you very much. And now let's open for questions. Any questions?
Questions or comments, right?
Yes, or comments.
Just to tell her, I don't think it was incredible, full of emotion, okay?
Yeah.
And I felt like going to Warsaw, okay?
Yes,
really,
yes,
really,
yes.
really. Full of emotion and beautiful words. What a beautiful explanation you gave from this city, okay? And the historical effects of the monument that you have there. Congrats.
Thank you very much. Okay.
And I may say that I really love Sao Paulo too. Like, this is about my hometown, but like every city, I try to absorb its spirit.
And it did, for sure.
Yeah. Oh.
Thank you. I just wanted to compliment too in the same line. It was very incredible presentation and lovely. I feel like you took us on a tour of Warsaw, and
Yes.
And as somebody who really thinks a lot about the importance of history in the intercultural communication field, I thank you for bringing it to life for us. And I think not only will we look at our own cities differently too now, exactly thinking about things that we often just walk by. So I really appreciate you bringing this to our attention and translating for us, literally, quite literally, but the cultural translation,
Yes.
the meaning behind. So what a gift you have given us, and just want to thank you very, very much. It also makes me want to go to Warsaw now.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Well, I will take my chance now. I never been to Poland, but I was told I'm Polish descendant. Lourdes Silverberg is Polish, German, Jewish surname.
Wow.
And last year I really wanted to go, but it was at the same time in another conference.
Yes,
So I had
yes.
to, at the time I had to be in another place. So Xiaoshu represented very well us and proposed to be here today. But when you were talking and when you were presenting was so much emotion and from your
Yes,
heart.
yeah.
I feel
yeah.
compelled to go there and to find out my roots. And someone told me once that there are some places on earth, and you mentioned about the wars, and you mentioned that like why everybody wanted Poland, and Poland is still there no matter what, right? And someone told me that there are some places on earth that are spiritual places, and then he mentioned Poland. And it was a very incredible situation because I didn't know this guy. He came here to FAAP talking to me, and we immediately moved from different subjects and to the spiritual part. And I have to tell you, I believe there's something in some places in the world, and I believe in him that there is a spiritual part of Poland. Otherwise, Poland wouldn't be there anymore. Because of many, many reasons that you don't more than me. So, and you show me this, you assure me this, that Poland has something else that we need to discover, and very quickly. So I would like to be in Poland, but with you. Joanna, you have to,
Okay, you're welcome.
Because now I want to go to the streets, I want to see the signs, I want to read them, and you know, learning is fantastic. Congratulations for the presentation.
Thank you. I have a comment. If you come to Warsaw, I highly recommend. There is a museum of Polish Jewish history, which was opened about 10 years ago. Yes, a lot of thought has been put into that museum to bring to life the past heritage, because, as you know, unfortunately, millions of Polish Jews perished during the Second World War.
I know.
So it's, to some extent, it's a lost world, but they're trying to revive all of these traditions and to make them accessible.
Remember. It is highly important to remember what happened, because we are making the same mistakes over and over again. And history is a cycle and a cyclical process. So we never learn. So remembering is extremely, extremely important.
And I also recommend the books by Norman Davies, God's Playground, A History of Poland,
Fantastic.
Heart of Europe, A Short History of Poland, which there's also a second edition in 2001, Heart of Europe, bringing the past into the present. And he also has a history of Europe. He's an Oxford professor of history.
It's a must. So we are going to share the presentations, right?
Yeah, please.
Okay, I'm just facing this way. It's okay.
If possible, please.
I have a question.
She's facing the cameras. Yeah.
Okay, okay. That will be great. That will be great. Thank you.
Okay, I have a question to ask Joanna, but this is beyond. We were very much touched by your presentation. I think not only give us landscape, but it also give us emotional aspects of the language and the history and all the plaques used in different languages. From your last year's presentation, I have a question, which is amazingly, in Poland, who make this language planning decision? Which language use for what purposes? So who makes decision, and who will guide people to decide what languages to use?
Yes. Well, my study, I took walks in my neighborhood, and took pictures with my iPhone. So the methodology is synchronic, but the historical aspect is the focus of the study. And also because it's a linguistic landscape study, I highlight the languages. Yeah. And as far as I could figure out, these glass plaques, they're posted in the last few years, because I just started to notice them last time I did the linguistic landscape study for the conference in Macao, our conference in 2023. which had a different focus because I was looking for the presence of the Ukrainian language. But as I was walking around, taking it in and paying attention, I noticed that there were these unobtrusive glass plaques on the streets explaining all the history. So I found that fascinating, so I did that follow-up study now. So as I mentioned in the presentation, they are labeled as the City of Warsaw, like in public information project or something like that, you know? So those were the decision makers. Now, as I also mentioned, they're mostly in Polish, which I find interesting because they would be very interesting to tourists, I think more than to local citizens who probably know something about their city. But in the European Union, all of the languages of the European Union have equal status, okay? So there's no requirement that everything be translated into English. So posting something that also has an English translation, which is for foreign tourists, sometimes German, French, you know, if they put in more effort, but English is the default. That is like an individual decision on the part of the people or body that posted that information. So like in the Royal Baths Park, which is also classified as a museum, the whole park is a museum, you know, the curators must have taken that decision that the information about the park should be in Polish and English, which it is throughout the park with some exceptions. There is one placard which is posted throughout the park and which I included in the previous presentation in Macao, which is really, really cute. It doesn't say, do not feed the animals. It says, if you wish to feed the animals, here is the food that is healthy for them. And then it lists all the animals like squirrels, peacocks, fish, pigeons, etc., and what food to give them. And there's even a picture of a fox, and it says, the fox feeds by itself, do not feed it. But that is only in Polish for some reason. But most of the historical information about the park is bilingual in Polish and English. So it depends who originated the posting. And of course, like the historical ones going back to the 17th, 18th century, were in Polish and Latin, or even only in Latin, because at that time, Latin was the international language. So with the historical dimension, you can also see how the linguistic landscape has changed and evolved.
Thank you very much. Okay, Anna.
Can I be here? I have to
No,
go
no,
there.
no.
Really?
Yeah, come to the front.
So hi everyone over there, hi everyone over here. Joanna, what a wonderful, wonderful presentation. And we learn so much when we walk. I love to walk in cities to learn and to see things that if you take the subway, we will never realize. If we go on a bus or on a taxi, Uber, we will never realize. So walking is so good. And thank you so much for this walk through Warsaw. Now everyone wants to go to Warsaw.
Right.
I understood that you, I don't know if that's what last year when the conference was in Warsaw, you presented on the linguistic landscape on Macao?
Last year was 2024, and the conference was actually in Opole, which is a different city in Poland. And in 2023, it was in Macao, and I presented on the linguistic landscape of Warsaw with a focus on the presence of the Ukrainian language, which was something new, an addition to the landscape.
Perfect, because as I know how intercultural you are, and you have lived for so many years in Macao, which the landscape of Macao is so interesting because it's all bilingual, at least most of it that I saw was in Chinese and Portuguese. I was with Raquel over there years ago. So, but now I'd like to see, I'd like to give you a suggestion if you accept that next year when we have the conference Toledo, and since now you are living in Chicago, and I don't know if you know, but Chicago is the largest city with Polish culture outside of Poland. Maybe you could teach us, or about the linguistic landscape in Polish language in Chicago. or if you have any considerations on this, where else we can find the Polish language on the landscape outside of Poland, anything like that, and especially with their experience in linguistic landscapes in Macao, which is so interesting. I would love to learn more from you on this regard. Thank you so much again for such an inspiring talk. Thank you all.
Thank you so much. Yes, Chicago is very multilingual. I will do that. Thank you for your suggestion. I'll start with the multilingual aspect and then focus on Polish. Because, for instance, in the neighborhood where I live in Chicago, it's close to Greek town. And there is some Greek. For instance, on the Walgreens pharmacy, it also has it labeled in Greek and English. So Chicago is very multi-layered.
Yes.
Guys, I know the presentation was very, very inspiring, but we need to continue because our colleague from Toledo is online already, and she wants to make some comments as well. Yes. So the word is yours.
Thank you very much.
Shall I go down?
Please, thank you. Because of time, I'm very sorry, everyone. If you have further comments and reflections, please talk to Joanna outside this online situation, if that's okay. Okay. Now let me start the closing ceremony of this conference officially. And in fact, I prepared a PPT, but I need assistance with it. Before. Yes, before we do it, let's give the floor to Gabi, our colleague and the host of the next conference, that is the 2026 conference. So, Gabi, how are you? Hi. Can you hear us? I can't hear him. Gabi, can you hear us? Oh, can you hear me? But we can't hear you. Huh? Gabi, could you turn on your microphone, please? But we still cannot hear you. I'm sorry. To test the microphone.
I can test again. Are you hearing me now?
The floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you. I apologize, not sure what is the technical problem, but earlier today I had to log into 2 computers to be able to get that going. Thank you all, and I do as well miss you all. I missed the chance of being in Brazil and take the opportunity to thank our dear colleagues who worked very hard to coordinate and to organize this conference this year. Unfortunately, it was starting of the semester for us this week, so I couldn't miss and be with you. But in heart and soul, we are definitely there. Would like to welcome you in advance, so to speak, and invite you next year to our beautiful Toledo campus at the University of Toledo, where we have as well in the city one of the internationally noticed and known museums. We have a very one of the best in the nation zoos, in addition to a beautiful botanical garden, in addition to many other things. But most of it will be those who will be participating in the conference like you are. I as well took notice. We'll try to seek some colleagues in Warsaw to have a conference over there, since apparently by demand, people would like to go to Warsaw. So maybe we can work on that. And if you know somebody in Warsaw who can arrange for us to host the conference, we'll be happy to work with them.
Further comments or further information? about the time frame
The
or
dates,
something?
we do not have the dates yet. It will be probably sometime in July or early August. So we'll try to avoid overlapping with the beginning of semesters in the US. But hopefully soon we will send out the call for papers and proposals. And yes, plan on the second half of July, hopefully, because we do have some new administration here. We're trying to figure out some available dates and make sure it's time that you can enjoy your time in Toledo.
Thank you very much, Gabi. So we hope to see you next year in Toledo, in the States, okay? So,
Forward for that.
thank you. So, yeah, now let's invite Professor Li Xianjun to say something at our closing ceremony. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm going to do two things. The first thing is I would like to hand over the presidency of this association to Dr. Gabby Simon. Hello, Gabby. I'm going to hand it to you virtually. Hey. Okay. And the second thing I would like to kind of formally, sadly, and proudly complete this conference in a way that most of the things I would like to say is to thank the local team, the FAAP team, who has done lots of work in order to have this conference successfully held. And I think the quality of presentation are really, really good. People learn from each other. People really find it cognitively, psychologically, socially, culturally, and emotionally involved in this conference. So I would like to basically thank the team, and then I hope everyone will enjoy the next conference, which will be held in the US. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Jin. So that is the closing ceremony, the official closing ceremony, though we have just begun before announcing it officially. So let me say something about the facts of this conference. Okay, by the way, friends, ladies and gentlemen, watch the initials I use carefully, because at the end, I will ask a question. And if you can answer that question, you will get this present made of silk from China. Okay, watch closely. It's a test. So I will talk about several letters. The first one is G. G means gratitude. I want to thank, on behalf of everybody, I want to thank the FAAP team, including myself, and the team and the volunteers, the organizers. You really, you can imagine, we have gone through a lot of difficulties. For example, yesterday I was trying to get online to organize the online session, and something didn't work out. There were participants trying to participate from the airport. You can see, you can hear the announcements at the airports. And I was in such a hurry that I began to talk to Edson in Chinese. It was a chaos. So that's the first thing. And gratitude, appreciation for your commitment, everybody. So the second letter I want to use is R, which means richness. You have learned samba, and you have enjoyed churrasco, which is typical of São Paulo, or better, of Brazil. And you will enjoy the city tour this afternoon. So I can guarantee you, you won't be disappointed. So to sum up the richness means academic plus cultural exchange experiences. And E means extension, from academia to professionals. We put everything, that is, we put theory into practice. Not only have we discussed a lot of theories, but we also put into practice. You will see this afternoon. Oh, by the way, when we go this afternoon, those, especially Brazilians, if you can take a closer look at the center of the city, maybe next year you can, as Joanna did, talk about the linguistic landscape and the street signs in the central of São Paulo. That's my suggestion. And the next letter is A. It means affluence. Proud to host at FAAP this wonderful conference. It's the first one in South America at all in the 30 years history of IAICS. So strengthening IAICS, the global community, has been our pleasure and our honor. So next letter is T. So T means Toledo and trust. Passing the banner to Toledo, we have just done that, yeah, to 2026. Trust reduces the communication barriers. That's the theme of our conference. So let's work hard to build further trust. F means further or means future. Taking intercultural communication further. Let's do more to promote intercultural communication. So let's do more to build a global family. Two A's, okay? Remember, 2 A's. One for ask and the other for answer. No final answers to reach, how research should go on regarding intercultural communication. We don't have fixed answers. So the first A is answer. And the second A is ask. We ask questions. Asking with respect prevents miscommunication. We talked about miscommunication, a lot about miscommunication. How can we prevent miscommunication? So we ask questions. We ask our interlocutors from other cultures with respect, with the best of intentions. So 2 A's. So the next one is P, persistence. Progress requires persistence. Keep going with the best of intentions. I think that's what all of us want to say, and all of those who are online want to say. So thank you very much. And now the question. How many letters did I use? And have you figured out what it stands for? Okay, I say 1, 2, 3, and the first one to raise his or her hand and gets the answer right will get this present. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay. I really can't tell. Okay. Okay. Let's give this special honor to you, who made all the way to the conference, though getting their visa very late. So, do you agree with me? Okay, please. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes, I'm so happy that I made it, really, to Brazil. It's my pleasure and to be part of this wonderful team and conference. So,
to answer my question?
Yes, G, gratitude, R, richness, E, extension, F, further.
A.
Okay. 2 A's, yeah. One is affluence, and the other one is yeah, yes, ask, and then you have F, further. Further or future, yeah.
Okay.
And then P, persistence, and then T, trust, and Toledo, yeah, Toledo. Did I miss any?
Yeah.
I didn't say them in the order, but that's why I could remember.
That's why order is so important.
I know. Tell me about it, especially because of the visa issue. Order is very important.
Oh, I think it's because of the visa issue. So you are a little bit under the impact of jet lag.
No, moving forward, I assure you, with the new president in the U.S., I'm going to check every village if we need a visa.
Okay, that's cross-cultural communication in itself.
Exactly. New cross-cultural
Thank you very much, but I'm very sorry to say the answer is not so correct.
Really?
So in this case...
Oh, it's okay. Let's give it to a chance to another person.
Sorry, but then it doesn't matter. So that's the whole gist of intercultural communication.
Of course.
We communicate, we try, and we say what we want.
Yeah.
So in this case, I would like to give the chance to
Please do.
to Joanna to see whether she knows the answer. Joanna, please.
The answer is 9 letters, Great FAAP.
Yeah!
But please give the scarf to Dana.
That's fine.
No.
No.
I won't be a judge, but I will hand over this gift.
Yes.
You decide,
I am a
Joanna.
Macau citizen, so I am Chinese. So on behalf of all Chinese.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So now let's invite our organizer, our representative, Dr.
For me,
Dr. Luders Zilberberg. Because of everything, because of your intercultural communication background, because of your efforts, because of that the fact that you are from another country.
Yes, but we cannot delay the session.
No, I mean, but 1 minute for you to sum up.
Very quickly.
Well, 1 minute for you to sum up, please.
I feel like we accomplished what we were looking for. That's it. That's the only thing I can say, and we have to be grateful for that. So thank you, everybody. Thank you for my colleagues here at FAAP, including you, Xiaoshu, Anna Tomé, who was with us from the very beginning, supporting us on this journey. It has been fantastic. For us, it's like we have done our job. I think maybe we could improve in the numbers of participants in the audience, but I think the quality of the audience was everything. The quality of the discussions, the sessions, and so overall, I think we managed and we accomplished our mission of hosting in a good manner, in a good way, the conference here in Sao Paulo. So congratulations to all of us, including participants, online presenters, everybody.
Thank you. Quality is everything.
Quality is more important than numbers. Okay, quality is much more important than numbers.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Very short thing. It was such a pleasure to have this conference in São Paulo. It's been a dream for many, many, many years, and we did this. And thank you so much again, FAAP team and Lourdes. What a wonderful, wonderful job you all did. Xiaoshu, Sophie, great.
Thank you very much.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
And I'm so pleased because from Northwestern University, we have many colleagues here for the first time. We have here Raquel, Towers, Felipe is here, and Rana, she came all the way, even though she had visa problems, she's here. And
Yes.
I'm so
Yes.
excited that she's here. And also, we meet so many people, and we just met a graduate student from Northwestern University who's here, who lives now in Taiwan. And we also had 3 other professors from Northwestern University participating online. So I really hope that Northwestern will be present, and the next conference in Toledo is is in the United States. So thank you so much, Northwestern University team, and thank you so much for whoever came here.
Yes,
to
the cameraman,
Colleagues,
please.
cameraman,
Let's join me. Please join me in
colleagues
thanking them. Thank you very much. You
from
guys are wonderful.
So many universities coming and joining us. It was great, great, great. Thank you again, FAAP team, and thank you all, and see you in Toledo next year.
Okay, great, Fabi. Oh, with that, the conference.
It's
Thank
closed
you, thank you,
So,
thank you.
Lourdes, but do you have any information for the...
About the certificates, we'll send out the certificates. We'll check the participant. We will deliver the certificates later.
Some very quick announcements about presentations. You have to send the presentations to us because I have opened a file in our Google Drive page. Everything is going to be on Google Drive. So these magnificent presentations are going to be there. So I have to receive the PPTs and I have the recordings of the online sessions. So I'm going to place everything there. So
For
you
you
will
to
be
share.
able to watch and to see what the others have done online, which is very interesting. Edson has some announcements about the tour and
the tour was supposed to be from 1 to 6, okay? But now, since we are 30 minutes late, okay, it's better that we have lunch from 11 to 11:30 until 1:30, and then we are gonna meet you all at 12:30. Sorry, 12:30 to 1:30, and then we can meet everybody, okay?
Where?
Praça do Sol, okay? Praça do Sol at 1:30 until 1:45. Yes, you have the options to have your lunch downstairs. Not downstairs, we are downstairs. Upstairs, okay? Under the Praça do Sol.
Okay, thank you very much. With that, we close the conference. Thank you again. Cameraman, thank you again.